I'm sharing with us something or a presentation on the third delay. I'm not an economist, but all of us know the basics of economics, equilibrium supply. So when the conference was happening, they said, oh, something from the faculty. I'm like, I don't know what to share because I used to be faculty. But what came to my heart is the supply side. I'm on the supply side. And in this room, I respect all of us, but there are two people I really respect because I know they have been on the supply side. And that's Dr. Miriam Mutabazi and Dr. Jean Chamberlain, because they are both senior obstetrician gynecologists. So when you say a bleeding woman, a ruptured uterus, they look at you like this because they're like, my friend, I've been there. I've been there with nothing to use. And I just thought that I should share something on the high dependence units. And I want all of us to take 30 seconds and think about the last time you went to a hospital, whether you are the patient or you took a patient. Now, if you are the patient, I don't know whether it was a private hospital or it was a public hospital, but think about the care you received, just in your own judgment. If you paid some money, think about it. Did you get your money's worth? Do you say, my bill was 4 million, but I really got my money's worth, okay? And take a second and think about how we interacted with you. I'm a health worker, So as we talk about safe motherhood, one thing that I'm passionate about, because like Dr. Mutabazi, who is our dean, and Dr. Jean Chamberlain, one of our founders, I'm on the supply side. I work in the hospital. I'm at the front line. So as much as we're advertising, people come to the hospital, how ready are we in the hospitals? So I thought I would talk about maternity high dependence units, setting them up and functionalizing them. No matter where you are in the world, whether in North America or in Sweden or wherever, in Canada, 15% of pregnancies will get complications. There's an 85% who can deliver under mango tree, but 15% will need the health facilities to be ready, not only with equipment, but with the right professions, that we are not only super skilled, but we can communicate, we can lead ourselves and work well. So in Uganda, the delay to receive timely care, timely appropriate, those are English words. I can give you care on time, but is it the appropriate care? The delay to receive timely appropriate care while at the health facilities accounts for a very big number of preventable maternal and newborn death. And that's why I told you about your experience at the hospitals. You come running, but think about your experience when you arrive. There's been a comprehensive review published by a colleague in Mulago. She's just published it end of 2022. And she was looking at women who died between 2016 and 2018. And interestingly, almost up to 90%, she's published that, so it's available online. There were identifiable delays at the hospital, at the health facility. So what is the problem? The third delay, it's okay. People can be taught in the communities, please go to the health facilities. We can fix our roads and bridges. But when I finally arrive at the health facility, what kind of care do I receive? So that still remains a problem. For this work, this is work we did in the pandemic. When the ministry said, oh, we have this region, and they said, no, we have colleagues who can help us do this work. The West Nile region was one of the regions which they identified that it had disproportionately high maternal death. Again, the role of data. Kole have talked about it. So DHIS to HMIS to data. And there were delays significant at the health facility. So what was our innovation? Colleagues at Save the Mothers know that, even the colleagues are recognizing in Mulago, Makerere, that high dependence units are very critical for those mothers, that 15% who cannot wait. She's reached the hospital, she's bleeding excessively. She cannot wait for a doctor who has not received a salary. You know what I mean? Or she cannot wait for a husband to go and buy something. She's convulsing, So we must one of the focus we put at was improving the emergency preparedness and complication readiness of the facilities for those extremely high-risk moms. But all of us have lived in our countries and in our continents, we know that when you arrive in a facility, it's many things. It's not just drugs. You find there's no sink, but hand hygiene, hand hygiene, very critical for infection prevention, You may find that there is no proper bed, the medical people here. No, sometimes you don't lie flat. I need to position in a certain way that you don't choke, So we made sure that we did the basic. We first teased out in that region, which hospitals, because it's not a matter of intervention. What do you base on? How do you use your data? So we use the data of HMIS and DHIS2 to know which were the busiest hospitals in West Nile region. How many deliveries were they conducting? How many mothers were they referring? Because sometimes as you go out as alumni and as partners and you're implementing programs, it's very important. I may make more noise, but what's my data? What is the data? What does data show on what I'm doing? So we based on that. And then we analyzed what are the bottlenecks? These ones who have died, what was the reason? And then it's also dangerous to generalize. So we went to the individual health worker. Can you manage this condition? No, I'm not very sure. Because even when you give me all the drugs and all the equipment, how sure are you that I know how to use the equipment? If you give me all the drugs, how sure are you that I know the right dose? So it's that attention to detail as you do the bottleneck analysis of why somebody died or you almost lost them. And that's what we did, looking through the analysis and then teasing out those key bottlenecks, gaps which are technical, but colleagues, and this is where I respect our friends who teach communication and leadership. Sometimes the biggest gaps are not technical. I may know how to operate somebody with my eyes closed, but I come late. I may know how to open somebody up and close them up, but I communicate so poorly. Where are you? Why are you coming late? Are you the one who took me to school? It's both the hard skills and the soft skills, extremely critical. So that's what we did. We worked. We never assumed that doctors know what they are doing. We never assumed that nurses know what they're doing. We just took the equipment and said, okay, the patient is saturating at 80%. What does it mean? And then somebody will say, I'm not sure. So for you, if you just gave me the equipment, you'd assume that I can interpret, So what were our main results? Already in the first 5 months, you're putting up we looked at the trends, because sometimes even as you do intervention, analyze, look at the trends. What am I doing? What is it able to achieve? So in the first month, October to February 2022, remember it's 2021, 2022, our theme today is reimagining safe motherhood post-pandemic, because this is again the peak. The pandemic is ending. People are still a bit dazed. We shall hear a lot of that. It's the same things. It's bleeding, it's high blood pressure, it's anemia, it's infection, it's ruptured uterus from all kinds of things. So we have looked back in the last 18 months. We finished the thing is in autopilot, taken over by the regional referral hospitals, and being intentional to make sure that we are taking the public hospitals, the private not-for-profit, anybody who realistically, when you look at data, they are offering services. What has been interesting, and we don't take credit for this, the health workers, the frontline colleagues who we trained, who we nurtured, take credit. The maternal survival rate was 97%, just by you reorganizing yourself. And even where they had the case fatality of 3%, they were able to audit, what else can we do differently? Okay, so building that culture of quality improvement through looking at what you've been able to do, how you're doing it, how you can improve yourself. It's extremely important if we are to realize and reimagine safe motherhood post-pandemic. So challenges, you know what, maybe sometimes I tell people that our glass is half full, not half empty. Sometimes when you always look at the challenges, you may never move, but it's true, yeah. Pandemic peak and post-pandemic, existent health system challenges, which we all know, we shouldn't dwell there. But what is the key lesson? It is possible. It is possible. I was telling Dr. Jean, this month, the doctors in Germany are on strike. last month, and all the doctors in UK were on strike. Like, what I mean, you can always look at your glass as half empty, but you can choose to look at your glass as half full. So one of the key lessons we have learned, it's very possible to improve on the emergency preparedness and complication readiness of the health facilities. And to do that inward look within the mega resources we have, and make sure that you remember that equilibrium, what is it? Demand supply equilibrium, that as much as we are mobilizing our mothers to come to the health facilities to deliver from the hospitals, we are ready in the hospitals and we're giving people a pleasant experience. The biggest conclusion I give for us, what we've learned and what we've always known, that fully, and the word there is functional. Taking equipment to a facility, donating things has nothing to do with functionality. You have to be sure that I know what you've given me, I can use it, I can interpret, I can offer appropriate care. So fully functional maternity high dependence units actually improve maternal survival and reduce mortality at the facility. And what's the biggest way forward? And this, we give glory to God. I think it's the ED who has been saying that Dr. Jean gave of her time, herself, her skills, her family. For me, one of the biggest way forward is the fact that now the Ministry of Health, and I thank the team here at UCU, we actually acknowledged you, Save the Mothers East Africa, adding the aspect of communication and leadership. We have written the national guide for the Ministry of Health to share with the rest of the country. And for me, that has been a big achievement. So we can take pride that the whole country now can set up and functionalize HDUs and high-risk beds, because sometimes you don't have the space for an HDU, but you can get some 2 beds. And I think that will go a long way when people have a guide, which can help them set up things. And I want to thank you so much. That's Gloria. The Nebi people always call me, she reached Nebi Hospital, 7 months, 27 weeks. They're like, they usually don't survive. And they couldn't believe, I wasn't even there. But they used their training and they saved the mother, they saved the baby, they've gone back to the community. And these are the kind of success stories which can help us improve and reimagine and realize safe motherhood post-pandemic. Thank you so much. I acknowledge UNICEF and Makerere and ABSI and all the colleagues with whom we did this work. Thank you so much.